All right. So I was going through my YouTube channel and just questions that people posted. Some of them I went and posted responses, and some of them. But Tim Wall here, this is a question that he had a couple weeks ago, and it was right during the tournament, and I was going to respond to it. I actually wrote up a response for it, and then I forgot to post it on there. But this, Tim and I were having the conversation when the club card stuff first came out. So if you're really, really new to the game, what happened was like one week they gave us some buffs on clubs, and then the very next week we had the club card trading came out, so you can get the prism chest. And at this point here where they buffed the clubs, they went through and picked some clubs that they thought had, like from the beginning of the game, you gotta look at it from Playdemic's perspective. When they started this game out, they had really no idea like what the success would be of the game, and being as successful as it is, they tried to make, they really did a great job when they first started off, as like where the clubs get in their progression. So as you start with, beginner clubs, and then you get up to the point where you're starting to get T7 clubs, and then you start to get those clubs up at higher levels, like, the dynamic of it. But there were some clubs, because you got a Tour 7 club and a Tour 6, and the Tour 6 is an epic, and this is a rare. Or you've got some clubs that are up here, like in the Grizzlies case, they completely reworked it. It's a T6 club, but it really was useless at any level. So they went through and they reworked, the Grizzly in particular, they completely reworked, but just like, helping the clubs out. They gave some of the clubs a buff to level them back out, to make them more appropriate for their level. And then the very next week, they gave us the club card training. So if you have a club maxed out, and you've got 300 cards in that club, then you can now participate in this prism chest where you can start upgrading your clubs. And so my thought process is that this is like, if you're at the top of the game right now, you're going to have a huge advantage over anybody new. So if you're already at the top of the game, you got, if we break this into sections, we got people that play from 1 to 6, and then 7 and 8, and then 9 and 10, and then 11 and 12. And so if you're already up here playing 11 and 12, you're in the 10, moving your way up the scale. But if you were already in 11 and 12, those people that are there when they got the max club card stuff where they could start trading in, they got almost all of their rares instantly upgraded. I mean, I got 6, and I think that's like half of them, like 6 to 12, that got completely maxed out. They're level 9 just like the first day. And the rest of them are easy to work on. And I have all my commons maxed out. So if you were playing up in Tour 11 and 12 for any length of time, with the size chest that you get and where you're going to be at in your divisional weekly rankings, as far as like Master 1, Master 2, Master 3, how much extra cards that you get, anybody that's at level that's playing Tour 11 and 12 on a regular basis and having success, they have all their commons maxed out. So that means that every day they're going to get 2 rares and an epic, and I would say in probably 50% of the cases, the people that are playing Tour 11 and 12 got half of their epics, or their rares, maxed out. So you've got max commons, and you have half your rares maxed. So that means every day you're getting 2 rares and an epic, and you're going to be able to max out those rares really quick. But all of the usable clubs are maxed out, and you can start working. And a lot of these people that are up here already had almost all, if not all, of their rares maxed out, already gathering extra cards. So it's not going to take them very long to get all of their rares and commons maxed out. And then every day they're just getting 3 options for epic. And then it will take time. You get 3 cards a day. And for the new level on epics, they raised the level from level 7 to level 8. So you're having to get 400 cards now. So it's going to take you 100 days if you were right there at level 7. I mean, it'll take you a while to get your epics maxed out. But you're going to be able to get your epics to the level 7 range pretty quick. If you were already playing in Tour 11 and 12. And so these people up here have a huge advantage, because you can imagine, just step back and imagine that, like, look in your game, for instance, let's say you were playing with your clubs at Tour 9, and your goal was to become a max trophy player. And so you've got the clubs that you have in your bag at level 9, and you can get to level 10 with those clubs. But once you break up into level Tour 11 and 12, because people who are playing Masters 3 and have that high of a trophy count, they can't play Tour 10 and 9 without getting replays all the time. So really the only place that they can play and know that they can get live opponents is 11 and 12. So I know that when you're up here playing 11 and 12 and you go, hey, I want to go down and play Tour 9 and practice, unless it's like during a tournament week where there's lots of people that are dropping down playing Tour 9, the majority of the time you're going to get a replay, and the replays now are so tough as far as like unless you can get up one on the course, you're going to go to a shootout, and the shootout's going to be super close. And so you're going to lose a lot of those shootouts, and you're going to lose trophies down here that you're going to have it's going to be a lot harder to get those trophies back playing against replays than it is playing against real people. So typically once you get up here and you get your trophy count up to the point where you're playing Tour 11 and 12, trying to go for max trophies, you don't want to drop back down. You don't want to go to 8, 7, 9, maybe even 10. You don't want to drop back down there because any trophies that you lose down here, it's tough to get them back. So typically once you get up the scale, if you're going to max, you're going to stay playing Tour 11 and 12. And if you're down here playing Tour 9 and you're trying to get up, once you break into that Tour 11, those people are going to, let's get real. You don't play Tour 11 and 12. You can make it to maybe Tour 9. You're going to start having difficulties at Tour 8, but you can maybe make it to Tour 9 without having really good wind adjusting skills. You might be able to make it to Tour 9, but once you get to Tour 9, you're going to start getting smoked. Your win percentage is going to go way down. So the people that are successful up here at 11 and 12, they've got skills. Regardless of clubs, they have skills. And then this club card trading just gave them some awesome clubs. I mean, look at some of the, especially the epics, when you get them maxed out now to level 8. I mean, they're 100% accurate, 100% power, 100% everything. Imagine going out on every hole with every club and it's a quarterback and it hits max distance. So those clubs, you just took people that have a tremendous amount of skill and gave them 100% accurate clubs on every hole. I can guarantee you, if you weren't already in this boat with all those club card tradings, when you go up, your win percentage is going to go down. It's going to be super tough to go up. So if you're trying to become a max trophy player, I really think that the club card trading kind of there's a barrier here that you're going to have a hard time breaking through. Now, if you're playing in these lower tours, so if you're playing like you don't have any plans of becoming a max trophy player, you don't care about Tour 10, 11, 12, and you're playing in the 7, 8, and 9, I'm not sure that it's changed it that much. You will find players that will have better clubs. I doubt that you're going to see a lot of people, and you'll run into some that have higher level epics and higher level clubs that are playing 7, 8, 9. But for the most part, you're going to run into people that are playing with, maybe getting their rares maxed out and they're still working on their epics. So you're still not going to run into the epic deal where everybody, like in Tour 11 and 12, every club in their bag is a maxed out epic. You're not going to run into that here. So if your goal is not to go up and be a max trophy player and your goal is to stay in this range in 7, 8, and 9, I don't know that it'll have that big of an effect, and you can work on your clubs over time. And so like in a year from now, these people that are here will have the same clubs as these people up here, and then you can go up. But if your plan is to go up and your clubs aren't really highly developed, you need to stay in this 7, 8, 9 range for the next year in order to get your clubs up so that you can seriously compete with the people that are up here in 11 and 12 if you're going for max trophies. And this is going to help your game, especially Tour 9, because you got Greenwich Point in Tour 9, and that's really going to teach you. If you can be successful in Tour 9, especially on the Greenwich Point holes, if you're not successful in Tour 9, you're not ready for Tour 10, 11, and 12. Tour 9 really is a great learning field for this stuff. But I think for most people, and I think Tim's right, if you're staying in this range right here, you're going to be running into bigger clubs, but you can still have success against those bigger clubs as long as you're playing smart. But you have to start developing your win skills in those 7, 8, 9 ranges. If you're in the lower divisions, it's, you're not going to see any effect it's not really going to affect your game that much. I think if you're playing less than Tour 9, you're playing up to Tour 8 and then below, it's probably, Tim's right, it's not going to affect your game, and you will be able to over time develop those clubs. And over the next year, you're going to end up with pretty much a maxed out set of clubs if you're playing in 7, 8, 9 and just working on your clubs on a regular basis. I think the real big deal for, and I'm still trying to grapple with how this would work with my lower level account, because I really think I'm onto something here with the lower level account because of this. If you have an account and you're playing tours 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you keep your trophy count down so that you don't open up tour 5. Okay, we don't want to open tour 5. We just want to keep tours 1, 2, and 3 and 4 open. And I'm not sure if you can do that. Like if you have maxed out tour 4, but you didn't really have any trophies in 1, 2, or 3, if that's enough to open up tour 5. I'm not sure of that. I have to look at it. But if you stay right down here and you just play friendlies against your teammates and you play one-on-ones only up to tour 4, you're going to max out the commons that you have, your T1, 2, and 3, and 4 commons. You're going to max them out real quick if you're playing this account on a regular basis. So like if you play this as your primary account, you're going to max out those commons really quick. So think about it. You got a T4 account that's only played T4, and it has maxed commons. And so if you have maxed commons, you can now participate in the Prism chest. So even though you don't have any Tour 5, 6, or 7 clubs, you're already in the maxed commons. So that means that your pool of clubs that you get is only going to be clubs that are available to you. So you only have the T4 clubs available to you up to T4. So you can start working on that extra mile and try and get that extra mile up, because, start and you'll get that common and you can transfer 300 cards from one common to another common to get all of your commons, your tour T1, 2, 3, and 4 commons maxed out. And if you stay down here, it'll only take 2 or 3 months and you can get all of your commons maxed out, and you could really start working on your rares. And the deal is that when you do pop up the T5, if you've got your rares and your commons maxed out down here and you get to T5, then you're going to be able to max these T5 clubs out real quick. And if you work the scale, so like when you get T5 done, you go to T6, and then when you get T6 done, you go to T7, and then by the time you get to T7, you can really dump some points in your card that literally, if you played this as your main account, within a year, you could have an awesome set of clubs. A set of clubs that have taken somebody else, because most people, I think, when they get in the game, they go from T1 to 7 as fast as they can. That's why you see a lot of people, they have, 1,200 games or, 800 games or 600 games, and they're already, you can see they're winning. They've won 280 million. And they only have 800 games. Well, that means that they've gone up the scale as fast as they can. So what they did is now they have all clubs available to them. And so it's going to take a while. If you're playing T7 and T8, it's going to take a while because you have every club in the game available to you. So that means every chest you've got a bigger pool to choose from. It's going to take a while before you get enough commons to be able to max them out to start participating in this Prism chest. So I've always tried to encourage players to slow play and work your way up the scale and work on your clubs as you go up. But with the max club card trading, I think that if you really slow play it, you're gonna be able to participate in this Prism chest and get your clubs up really fast. And I'm not sure how that dynamic will work. I've got a T4 account and it's got T5 open, but I really have to and I'm only like 400 or 500. I think I have like 3 or 4 common cards that I'm within like 600 cards of maxing them out. So in that account, I'm really going to focus on T4 because I really want to get at least one of my common cards maxed out so I can start participating in the Prism chest. But I really think that we can get our clubs up faster by staying down low, like investing the 3 to 6 months playing in these lower tours and maxing out some cards so that we can participate in the max. I think if you took somebody that went from 1 to 7 right off the bat as fast as they could, and then they played that account for a year, and then you slow played it and went tour 1, tour 2, and really ground it out down here when you're playing, not that you're grinding, but I mean that you just forced yourself to stay in tour 2 and tour 3 and got that first club maxed out, that these people are going to start getting clubs relatively quickly, but over the course of the year, you're going to end up having some of these usable clubs down here that are like your extra mile, your backbone. You're going to have those clubs maxed out And these people up here are still going to be working on it. So it is worth looking at to see how that dynamic works. But hopefully that, I really do still believe though, Tim, that anybody who wanted to go to Max Trophies and wasn't already there and is being pressured by the community to get Max Trophies, that they did get screwed over. And that the people that are up at the top, it benefits the people that are up at the top more than it benefits the people that are trying to get to the top. My goal is not to try and get to the top. I don't really care about that stuff up there. So another question here is Roy Henson. I have a Rapier 5 and an Inbringer 3. Which would you rather use? Okay. All right. I'm a Rapier fan, and it's not that I have a problem with the Inbringer, but I think there's two groups of people. There are those that love the Inbringer, and there are those that love the Rapier, and I'm a Rapier fan. So let's look at some numbers here. With the Rapier, as soon as you get it to level 3, you get 3.2 ball guide, and you have 71 top spin. Now, obviously, it's better when you get it to the 87 or the 95 and you get it up the scale. But the 71 top spin with a 3.2 ball guide means that when you run max top spin with 3.2, because you're one bounce, this is the second bounce, third bounce, and then it goes forward. You're past that third bounce that when you put this top spin on there, it flattens it out. Prior to this, where it's at 2.8, it doesn't flatten it out properly because it's not showing you this bump over here, and so it may not flatten it out. So as soon as the Rapier gets to level 3, it is instantly in my bag because it has that top spin, and now it's got over 3 ball guide, and it'll flatten out. Now the argument is on accuracy. With a top spin shot where you're flattening it out, trying to run it up there, once you get to this 3.2 ball guide, the accuracy, in my opinion, is not that big of an issue because this type of shot is close up. So here's the flag, here's the green, here's the fringe, here's the fairway. Okay? If you're in this range up here, I find that this is the rule rather than the exception. Most of the shots that you're taking with your wedge are close up shots. And so close up shots like this, you're going to be able to do your bounce, and then flatten it out and run it up to the cup. And that you're so close that wind is either not a factor, or it's that where here's the cup and here's the flagpole and it's 4 miles an hour from the center of the flag to the edge of the cup. You're either in that range or you're in the range where wind is not a factor. And because of that, the accuracy is less of a factor. You either hit it perfect and it goes in the hole, or you didn't hit it perfect, and it's not going to matter which club you're using. And if you're close enough, you don't have to hit it perfect. You can hit it great to the left or the right and still go on the cup because the rings are so small, because you were able to, instead of coming out here and doing a backspin shot, so you got a shot that looks like this. You got a shot where you're hitting it up and then you're trying to backspin it, or you're trying to bounce it into this flag, into this cup, where from here to here, the ball is affected by wind. Okay? If you come up here and you're doing this, and then you're flattening it out and running it, this is the bounce that's affected by wind. And it's so small, it's not affected by the wind. And I was able to pull my ring set closer to me because I'm using this topspin, and the closer I get the ring set, it's this big out here, and it's this big when I pulled it to me. So out here, if I hit a great to the left or the right, I may miss. But from here, I hit a great to the left or the right. The freaking rings are so small, they'll almost fit in the cup. I could probably hit a good to the left or the right and still get in the cup. So that's one of the benefits that you get with a Rapier when you're doing that topspin. So if we look at the Inbringer, as far as like topspin, it doesn't start getting really serious topspin until it gets to level 7 and level 8. You're getting that same kind of topspin on this Rapier at level 4, but at level 2 and 3, it becomes usable, but it's not really, in my opinion, super usable until 3 because of this ball guide. As far as accuracy, it does pick up accuracy. It goes along. So where does the accuracy come into play? The accuracy comes to play on the exception rather than the rule. So here's your green, here's your flag, and here's your fringe, here's your rough or fairway. So when you're close up like this, the Rapier's killer, and the accuracy is not really playing a factor. But what happens when you're back here and you're hitting a max wedge? So you're hitting that wedge, that 38, the 38 or 42 yards where you're hitting it up here and you're going for the max one. So you're back here, the flagpole's over here, and you're coming in and then you're doing this bounce and a little backspin or whatever it is to the hole, and you're at max club. Well, at max club with a rapier, let's just say we were at level 3. You're at 58 accuracy. So that means you're at what, 1.8? 1.8 per ring? Versus if you were at level 3 with a in-bringer, you're at 79. So let's say that's 80. That's minus 4, so that's 1.6. So and it gets more accurate quicker than what you're going to get with the rapier. So yeah, if you're at max club, if you find that a lot of the time that you're using your wedge, you're at max club, then the in-bringer is going to be more accurate. But I find that the majority of the time that I take wedge shots, I'm not at max club. I'm hardly ever at max club. Normally, I'm right here off the green or right here on the fringe. It's one of these very short shots, and the short shot is better with topspin because you can pull it closer to you, make the ring set smaller, and accuracy is not as big a deal. So if you find that most of your wedge shots are from distance, then maybe the in-bringer is better. If you find that most of your shots with your wedge are up close, then I think the rapier is going to be better because you can put that topspin on there and you can run it up to the hole. Sometimes you find those holes where the cup is right here and the flagpole's here, and you're trying to run it up there and use that topspin. And when you do this, the ball guide appears and disappears. And that's because the green here has moguls on it, or it's got depressions, or it's got little hills. And so as the ball guy's trying to negotiate through this depression, and then it gets up to the hill, it's like, hey, I don't know where I'm going to come out on the other side. And so the ball guy keeps appearing and disappearing. On those shots, you need to get a little closer to the cup. Instead of trying to run it up, you'd want to come up and get a little closer to the cup and try and backspin or bounce it in like a normal shot. Think about the rapier. It has lots of backspin, has lots of topspin, it has all kinds of, so it has just as much backspin as it has topspin. So you can still get this shot done. But in that type of situation, you're going to be dealing with a 58 accuracy versus a 79. And this is going to put you farther away from you, so accuracy will come into play. So if you're on those holes where you're finding yourself on a regular basis at max wedge, or if you're finding yourself on holes where you have to do this little bounce in, then the in-bringer may be a better club. But those are exceptions. The rule is that you're going to be close to the hole. All right, sorry about that. So let's talk about when you get this thing into higher levels. So if you get your in-bringer, let's look at where the transition is. I really think for my game, when it gets to level 3, I'm going to start using it. And when we get up here to, like from 3 to 7, it's absolutely usable. And you're going to use it at 8 and 9. But if you can get your in-bringer up here into these ranges, this level, and what is that, 7 and 8, then once you get it up to level 7 and 8, you've got 100%, you've got that 85% topspin. So now you can run it forward. It's 100% accurate. It's got better ball guide. So I think that there's a period of time, like you'll get your in-bringer first, and you may use your in-bringer for a while until you can get your rapier up into this level 3. And then once you get it to level 3, for me, I'm going to use it all the way up the scale. And then when you get, at some point down the road, you get your in-bringer up into this level 7 or 8 range, then you can start contemplating the switchover. I'm not going to think about it at level 6 because of this topspin. I've got to get that topspin back up into the high enough levels that I can flatten it out, and I got better ball guide. So I'm going to use my in-bringer. I used my in-bringer. I did use it for the first couple levels, like level 1 and level 2. I think I used it for level 1, and then I didn't like the deal because I didn't have the topspin. So I went back to my Firefly, and I used my Firefly until I got my rapier up to level 3, and then it's rapier all the way. But at some point down the road, I will eventually get my in-bringer to level 7 and 8. And when I get it to level 7 and 8, then it will become the better club because it will do the same thing as the rapier, and it's more accurate. So if I am at distance, so now I got the best of both worlds. I can hit that exception, the distance shot, and I can hit the rule, which is the close-up shot, and I've got better ball guide. So that's how in my mind, I'm a rapier fan, but I will tell you that at some point down the road, I will get my Imbringer to level 7 or 8, and I will switch over to the Imbringer because it'll become a better rapier. So that's my answer to that question. Let's see if we got any other questions on here. Rapier. I did some videos for Roy. I started shooting some T6 and just putting some videos on there. Some people like them long, Roy. Some people like them short. I'm trying to stay in the 30-minute range because, you know, somebody could pop it on while they're driving down the road and listen, or watch it while they're doing something, and try and keep it so that it's in that range. Diane Rogers commented, I've been saying a tourney should be 18 different holes for 3 years. I'm with you. And I am with you. Is it Dwayne? I think it's Dwayne. Sorry about that. Diane. Dwayne just smacked. He just went, oh my gosh. Sorry about that, Dwayne. I'm an American. Come on. We can hardly read. So I am totally with you. And I really do believe that it's the issue with that. What the issue is that they have a hard time doing it because of the matching up. So if you're in one of these courses and you're in a tournament and I'm on hole 1, you could be on hole 10. So it is that kind of issue. But I would love to see them pick one of these courses, 4 of these courses, as a matter of fact. You can start with 1 and do the 4 and have them, you know, and it could be one of the older courses. I don't really care. Pick Southern Pines. Personally, like if I was to pick a course, like this is my absolute favorite course. So we can go look at my favorite course while we're talking about this, is Greenwich Point. So if I would love to see them add 9 more holes to this so that we're actually playing an 18-hole course. And what would be even better, now I know that as a player, this is, from a player's perspective, this would blow. From Playdemic's perspective, this is the way that I would do it, because this maximizes, hey, Playdemic's got to make money or they won't do holes for us and they won't keep doing this stuff. So we have to make sure that what we're doing benefits everybody, not just the players, not just Playdemic, that it benefits the community. 18 holes in a tournament would benefit the community. It would benefit all of us as players. I really think that it would benefit those players who have put in the time and effort to actually learn how to play the game and know how to do wind ring adjustments and know how to adjust for wind. It would benefit Playdemic because now they've got holes that we're going to have to learn how to play. But when they set these up, maybe in regular tour play, you don't have access to those back. The back 9 is not accessible during regular play. It's only accessible during the major week. And so that means that people are going to have to play a little bit more to hit those, and they're going to have to use a little bit better balls to try and figure out how to do it. And so from Playdemic's perspective, it'll use up resources a little bit more. So that means we have to replenish those resources. That's a great revenue source for them. But as players, we could start playing 18-hole tournaments, and you're not going to be able to learn something on the front 9 and then get a better result on the back. You're going to have to play. We qualify on the front 9. You qualified on the front 9, and now you've made the tournament. And then the opening round and the weekend round, you're going to have to play the front 9 and the back 9 for those 18 holes. I think it would be awesome for the community. I mean, and it would be great for Playdemic. They're going to create new holes. We have enough courses out there that it would be nice if we could do an 18-hole tournament. On the other side of that, I'd really like to see them start doing whole tournaments where we're playing on courses. That's why they created a course. The Pacific Cup tournament we're in right now is in 4 different courses. And it's not that I don't like those holes. It's just that why do we have courses if we're going to play holes from a bunch of courses? But I would love to see them start doing 18-hole tournaments. And I don't know of a single person that I've talked to that wouldn't be excited about that. I mean, from a player's perspective, that would be awesome. And I really do think on Playdemic's side of the fence, it would help their revenue stream as well. So that would be awesome. Hammer and Hank, you guys, Hammer and Hank has got an awesome, and Hammer and Hank is really good, a really good player, like really good player. I played some one-on-one with him. He was streaming here a couple weeks ago, and I played some one-on-one with him. And I was out there practicing the holes. They were all brand new holes, and I was out there trying a different line. He'd take line A, and I'd take line B, and I was trying different stuff out there. But just kind of watching him out on the course, he is a really good player, and he is like where my game goes. Where like Mondays practice, I practice up to that point, try and catch a few holes just to get in the groove. Mondays practice, not worried about wind adjustments. I'm not worried about any of that. Monday is all about club and ball. And then Tuesday's qualifying round is confirming that I picked the right club and ball. And then Wednesday's qualifying round, which is where I'm going to actually qualify. This is where I'm really starting to try and dial in the wind numbers. So now I know going in, I've got a game plan going in. I know exactly where I'm going to hit. I know exactly what I need to do in order to get to the right distance. Now I'm starting to work on, here's the tee box. The first couple days is just worrying about getting out to here. Now that I have this down, now I'm worried about getting into the cup. Now I start worrying about wind adjustments. Hank works out a little bit different. He's got those wind adjustments here. So he's trying to dial it in throughout the week. The problem that I have for my own personal game is that if I dial stuff in too early in the week, I peak. And I may peak in the qualifying round or I may peak in the opening round, and then I'm flat on the weekend. And what I'm trying to do is get as every successive round be a little bit higher up the chart, as far as like what I'm learning and how good I'm getting, so that I am peaking on the weekend round. And so for my own personal game, that's why I play it that way. I try and do one thing at a time, ball and club. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Let's confirm that. Now I'm starting to work on the shot from where I landed to the green. Now I'm going to start working on the wind in the qualifying round, and I'm going to continue to work on that wind in the opening round and try and perfect everything for the weekend. Hank has his act together over here and wants to play at the top of his game through the whole week. And so a lot of times at the beginning of the week, I can show you the trajectory and what you should be doing out here. But if you really want to get wind numbers that you can work on throughout the week, Hank has those numbers like right off the bat. Let's see if I got any other good questions on here. Desmond. Des, wow, it's long. I try and make those shorter, but those walkthroughs, it's hard to make those. If you think about it, the walkthroughs are there's 9 holes. If you did 5 minutes a hole, you're right in the 50-minute range. So, I mean, it's hard to keep those below. It's hard to keep them below an hour, but I've been keeping them right below an hour, but it's hard to keep them that low because there's tons of stuff to talk on. I mean, I went back through on these holes and watched the video myself so that I could make some notes off of it. And then I was like, man, I should have talked about that. Like on the first hole in this. Let's see if we can get it in here.
And I take the wind out.
All right. Let's go back to the beginning. Hold on. Let me turn the volume up here. I'm going to show, there is something on this hole I wanted to show you guys. Hey, this hole right here. I wanted to show you one thing. I talked about the bounce going from right here, and then that's bounce number 1, and then bounce number 2, and then you're trying to bleed off onto the green. When you're in this area, this first bounce on your ball guide, you've got your first bounce here and your second bounce here. You want your third, let me pause this. Hey. You want your third bounce to be in the sand, right on the edge of the sand where you see the ball guide coming like this, and it's terminating right on the edge of that sand where it's actually digging into the sand. And the reason you want to do that is that from the tee box, your ball guide's going like this. And so out here where it engages that sand, you want it to be, here's the sand trap, you want your ball guide to be terminating right on the edge where it is actually landing in the sand. But this little sand trap is actually shaped like this. And you're terminating in the sand right here. And so you're going to put a little bit of right-hand curl on it, and right-hand curl is going to bring the ball out in this trajectory. And you're trying to engage this right here. So if you do your arc, you're in the sand here, but that little teeny bit of curl, when it comes in, you're going to land over here instead. And guess what? At the same distance where you're in the sand over here, you're in the rough. And so that'll bleed, you catch that rough and then it bleeds it forward. So the target zone down here is really small. You're trying to hit in that little peanut shape on the sand. And it's really difficult. Your first bounce, you can have success with your first bounce where you make it, but the second bounce is all important. Because in order to get that arc to get over into this area from here, and you're doing this, to try and catch that, you can end up catching this rough right here. And for my epic fail, the majority of the time that I don't end up on the green, I don't end up on the green because I got this arc just a little bit wrong and I clipped the rough right here. And either I'll stick in the rough or it'll bleed me off into the sand. But this is usually my trouble area right here. And you can move out a little bit to open this up to give you more room. But the more you move out, the more curl you got to get on it in order to bring it back on the arc so that you're catching that little bit of fairway. So see, it was long on there, Des, but there were still 1,000 things that I didn't talk about. That's how that works. Thanks for doing the T6 content. You're welcome. Hammer and Hank. Let's see if there was any other questions on here. I watched all your T7 videos. I've been trying to put some one-on-one play just so that I can be out there playing, because I typically when I'm playing one-on-one, I play with a Marlin, and I go out there and I try and get it done with a Marlin when I'm playing one-on-one, and there's a totally different mindset when you're playing one-on-one than when you're playing tournaments. One-on-one, it's all about winning the hole. Tournaments, I don't care about winning the hole. I'm trying to get the lowest score, and I'm not really worried about what my opponent's doing. Jake Easy, you're welcome, buddy. Thanks for everything you do. I do it for you guys. I started these videos off for a buddy of mine to help him do wind rings, and I'm just amazed at how well and how much support you guys give the channel, and I'm just amazed. And it's really good. I love the fact that I'm able to help you guys. Duncan Palmer, thanks for all the explanation. I finally got a minus 31 on my pro account. That is fantastic. Getting a 31 on that in that particular tournament, a 31 was definitely, if not a winning round, somebody popped a serious one off. All right, I think that's just some of the recent ones that are on there. So I just wanted to answer some of my YouTube questions that were on there. So I'll catch you back on the course on the next one. Thanks for watching. Or we're on black screen where I got Playdemic popping up. See how long it takes it to pop up. All right, thanks for watching.